Alright guys, we have just agreed to adopt a new animal, but we don't have anywhere set up for it to live yet. So today, we're going to set up this new enclosure and show you what we are going to pick up. So this is the enclosure we're going to be using. It is a 4x2 by 2.5 foot varium style enclosure that we are going to be setting up and planting bioactive for this new animal that's coming into the room. I've got it set up with a heat mat in the bottom that's attached to a thermostat. We've got a basking lamp up at the top that's already been set up. It's been siliconed and screwed into place. There is going to be a grow light on it as well, and a few other bits and bobs that we're going to add in. But before anything else, we need to start with the very bottom layer, and that is going to be the substrate. So we're going to be using what's probably a fairly familiar substrate blend to a lot of people in the UK. And that's starting with a base of cocoa coir. So this is just pure rehydrated cocoa coir. And to that, we're going to be adding a good amount of topsoil. Now this is organic topsoil from Westland, which is a brilliant brand in the UK. What I'm likely going to have to do is do it layer by layer. So I'll mix the top layer with some topsoil, I'll get it into the enclosure, and then we'll get some more made up. But let's start filling the tank. Now this could get messy quickly, but we're just going to start by throwing it all in. And just like that, it is already all over the floor. Right, I'm going to get that filled up and then we'll be back. Right, we have got it up to the level I want it roughly. So there is about 40 litres of soil in here, probably more to be honest. Yeah, that's a 30 litre pack and we went through most of that plus what was in there. So yeah, at the minimum there is about 40 litres of substrate or soil in here. I do need to hoover up a little bit because I made plenty of mess. Then we're going to start looking at some of the hardscape elements that are going to be in here. So that's going to be quite important because of where the basking lamp and the heat mat are. So let's get tidied up and get on to putting them in. Right, now that our substrate is in, we want to try and get a way for it to get up next to this basking light up here. So I think I'm going to start with a fairly heavy piece in the back there. Although thinking about it, that is where my heat mat is. So I maybe want to carve some of this out slightly around there. I'll let some of that heat get up through. It's one of the things with bioactive enclosures. If you've got the heat mat under the tank, the heat doesn't penetrate that substrate very well. So you might need to make it a bit thinner where you have situated that heat mat. Right, so we've got that there. I've got a bit of a tube of cork. Set that in there. And then we do want like a little shelf or something almost. Put that there. If we have another bit in here, or I've also got this big piece of wood, maybe this goes in there. There we go, I like that. Now I think what I'm going to do is cut this down the side, make it a little bit more ragged so it's leaning up against it and it's not just a hollow tube sitting there. And that way I can then use the other half for a hide. Right, I've added in the grow light that I'm going to be using so I can get a wee bit of a better idea what it's going to look like. I've got another piece of cork bark. I've used a wee bit of UV resin to hold these in place. So hopefully that should be nice and secure, can get up quite close to the basking lamp. Now I do want to make sure it's nice and interesting and there's plenty of climbing places. So I'm also going to see if I can get this clematis vine in here. There we go, so that should break up a little bit in the texture. Have some more cool vines running through it and stuff, because it is just going to be a baby when we first get it. So this will be able to support it quite easily. And I think that's all the hardscape I want in this. I don't want to overdo it. Oh, one other thing actually. We do need a hide of some sort. I'm just going to go and chop this up. I'll be back in a second. Right, we're back. And now with the hide. So we want one in that hot area. And then we're also going to have a cool hide, a little small hide, over in here. There we go, I think it's looking pretty good so far. Now we're going to move on to some of the live stuff. And before I go adding any plants, I'm going to go and get some of my fresh lawn moss that I propagate. Now we've got a few nice clumps. Some grass as well, so we'll start placing these in. Now I've just realised something that I forgot that I want to go probably right here, and that is a water bowl. Let's get that first. Oh, it fits perfectly. Right, I think that's looking really good so far. Now, let's see if we can get some larger plants for in here. Now, I do think it's already looking pretty good, so we're not going to go too over the top with plants. I do have this nice big pothos vine though, that is already rooted. We've got some roots and some new shoots coming out of this. So I was thinking this might be good to get in just behind here. And we bring it up around the back of this clematis. Now I do think we probably still want a little bit more colour, so let's see what else we can find. Up next we have a little unhappy fern that hopefully will do quite well in here. And then top up some more substrate around it. Yeah, so we'll see if that recovers. And we have one more little unhappy fern, but where can we put this? Near the water bowl. I think that looks good. And now we just need some final touches. And those final touches are obviously leaf litter. So we've got a great big bag of the habitat stuff here. We're just going to start popping it around. And we want this to have the feel and texture of the forest floor. It should feel like a rainforest when we're in here. We've got some of the small leaf litter in there. So now, let's get some of the bigger leaves. We'll just kind of scatter them about. And with that, I think we are finished. Right, that's the setup, everything's tested, temperatures are checked, so now it's just ready for the animal. And with that, I think we'll see you guys in the morning. Right guys, it is now 3 days later, the tank is settled in nicely and it is time for us to go and pick up this new animal. But first we have a couple more updates for you. For the guys that remember this fishing spider video, we have actually had an egg sac laid and we have got a whole bunch of babies from that. Hundreds of them. So we're kind of in the middle of sorting that out now. They haven't strayed from the enclosure yet, but we're keeping them zipped up just in case. And we did also have another new addition, and that is our little vampire crabs. And there was also a couple of eggs in here earlier. So we'll see if that turns into a little breeding project for us as well. But I need to sort out this enclosure. It looks like the moss is maybe wicking out some of the water, and it's ending up kind of flooding the enclosure slightly. Which these guys didn't mind, but I don't want to have a bacterial growth. And there's one of our little guys hanging out in the corner. But we have now got a short 20-minute drive to go and pick up our newest clan member, so let's head off. That's us just picked up our pillowcase, which might be a little bit of a clue as to what the new animal is, but let's get her home. Now, I might be biased, but how many of you guys have this in the middle of your city? And this isn't even the pretty part of the city. Right guys, now it is time to see what our mystery animal is. She is already trying to get out the bag. So we have not decided on a name yet, but this is our beautiful Sun Glow boa constrictor. She is now about to see her new home for the first time. guys, it's now day 2 of having this beautiful little girl in. You might be able, I don't know if you can pick up in the camera, but she is just basking on top of the cork bark over here, which is quite nice. So she's actually opening up even though she hasn't been in the house for that long. Today we've got a couple extra things we're going to add. So I said this was a bioactive enclosure, but we only added plants and a snake, so it's not that bioactive. So next we are going to put in some dairy cow isopods. So we're going to get a few of these little guys in, and they should take care of any waste that's in that enclosure. And it's as simple as picking up this bit of cork bark, just shaking a few in. And I do also have a second colony, so we're going to diversify up the bloodlines a little bit. And the good thing about this colony is there's loads of springtails, so we're going to add some of these as well. And then I am going to add something else. So I've got a fairly strong little colony of red-spined millipedes in here, which I'm going to put a few of these little guys in. So they aren't going to produce much of the cyanide waste like you get from some of the other millipedes, but they are just nice little guys that we might see crawling around every now and then, and will help break up some of that leaf matter. So we'll put a couple of these in and see how they get on. Now, she does officially have a name, so I kind of bullied Louise into accepting this one, seeing as she got to name Surimi. This is Little Mac, which is short for Macaroni Squeeze. If you want to see how Macaroni Squeeze gets on in the future, consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video. That'd help a long way to getting this channel out there. But now I think I'm going to go and work on some other stuff and let her settle in for a little bit longer. She's only been here for 2 days, so although she's been nice and curious and coming out and being nice and open, we want to give her time to settle into this new area. And just before we go guys, I want to give a special thanks to Tonya, who is our first Critter member on Patreon. If you think that's something you would like to support, I'm going to leave the link down in the comments below. There's going to be some cool stuff coming on Patreon, like shout outs, and maybe even collab opportunities and things like that. But yeah, until next time, cheerio and Rasta.